Tried filming this video 3 times now. Hopefully this is the final version of it. To put it simply, I am making this video in honour of Mental Health Awareness Month. It's quite fitting because I have only very recently, within the past few weeks, been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Part of the reason why I'm making this video is primarily for myself, in order to just keep myself accountable. I want to be able to look back and think why I'm continuing to fight and to do this. But also I wanted to make this video to reach out to my friends and to reach out to other people who may be struggling with their mental health and need that little bit of a push. Maybe this could help, maybe not. Well, going back to the start of this year, I had what really I can only describe as a mental breakdown. For the past few months I've been recovering from various physical ailments that have left me quite weak physically, but also on top of that trying to recover from this mental breakdown and actually addressing some mental health issues that I've been neglecting for a long time. And this has caused me to pull myself away from Frisbee for this year, as much as I don't want to. I know that it's what will be best for the future. It'll make me the best teammate that I can be. I didn't know how to look after myself really, and I spoke to my GP looking for a bit more of an explanation and hopefully a diagnosis, and it's led to me being referred to a psychiatrist who, through various discussions, it's now been diagnosed as borderline personality disorder. It's also known as emotionally unstable personality disorder or emotional dysregulation personality disorder. I'm going to run through a few of the characteristics, but I'm going to keep it really, really brief, and everything that I will be discussing will be primarily from my experience. There will be other people who have this disorder who don't necessarily experience the same symptoms that I do, or they will experience different symptoms that I don't experience, or it'll be experienced at different levels. So I just want to preface this discussion with that. One of the first characteristics of this disorder is emotional dysregulation. So this shows up in 2 main forms. So this is a rapid change in emotion or mood. So this can be within minutes or hours. Not only this, but it's quite extreme, heightened versions of an emotion. So the best way that I can kind of describe how it feels is that whatever kind of emotion you're feeling, it's almost like you're suffocating it, or you're feeling suffocated by it. So you're kind of neck deep in a pool of sadness, anger, happiness, whatever kind of emotion it is. It's just horrendously overwhelming. This also links with another one of the characteristics, which is irritability or quite extreme anger. Personally, I sometimes reflect the irritability onto other people, unfortunately. There have been some people who have just been in the line of fire whenever I'm feeling quite irritated. But generally speaking, if I'm feeling angry, particularly quite extremely angry, I don't tend to have an outburst. It's more reflected in on myself, and it's very negative thoughts in on myself. There's also a fear of abandonment, and this can either be a perceived fear of abandonment or a very real threat of abandonment, but generally speaking it is perceived. So it's quite an irrational fear, and this also links in with the fact that people with BPD can often have quite unstable relationships, and this is either familial, friendships, or it can be a life partner. So from my personal experience, I do have quite strong feelings with regards to fear of abandonment. It can be quite real for me, but also when it's linked with unstable relationships, I have formed some very unstable relationships in my life that have caused a lot of problems. I need to say this, that any actions that have come about as a result of this, me saying it's as a result of BPD is not an excuse. I still very much caused any problems that have happened. I very much caused them, so I do take responsibility for it, but it's more of an explanation that I could never give until very recently. Or something else I quite frequently experience is dissociation. And this is not dissociation in the same way that somebody with dissociative identity disorder would experience. This is more just a separation from reality in a way. So this is me shutting myself off from everything if I'm feeling stressed out, or sometimes I'll just feel like a ghost, so I'm completely separated from everything and I'm walking around as if I don't really exist. Another way to describe it is it sometimes feels like you're dreaming. So you're watching it as if you're kind of in the background. I'll sometimes experience dissociation with a feeling of emptiness, but the emptiness can also be isolated. This feeling of emptiness is very difficult to describe, I've got to be honest. The best way that I can say it is you feel just like a vessel of nothing. There's nothing that can fulfill you or make you feel whole. It's just absolutely nothing. You just feel empty. It's so hard to describe. A common characteristic of BPD that I don't necessarily experience as much is impulsive or reckless behaviour. So this can manifest as substance abuse, so drinking, drugs, smoking, or hypersexuality. I don't necessarily resonate with those things. I've seen this more in my spending habits traditionally, so I will, for whatever reason, just buy completely, sometimes useless things, or I'll just buy very frivolous things that I don't necessarily need and feel a lot of regret and guilt after having done so. Or in the past it would be if I'm just feeling overwhelmed, or if I'm feeling a lot of nothing, I'd just eat quite a lot of food. This did cause weight gain over a few years, where I couldn't necessarily process my emotions. I would just eat a lot of food. That isn't as common anymore. I'm much more aware of my eating, thankfully. Other than the rapid changes of mood, something that I experience most often is a lack of sense of self. And this comes in quite a few different forms for me. So on a day-to-day basis, I have body dysmorphia, so I don't necessarily feel like my body is mine. I don't see it in the same way that other people seem to see it, and I attribute a lot of negative thoughts to my body that I perceive to be true, but other people don't necessarily perceive to be true. These thoughts are often the same with who I am as a person, or the things that I do. So any accomplishments or anything that I seem to achieve, I don't tend to recognise that I've done it or that it's a good thing. I'll still think, even if I've done the slightest good thing, I'll think that I haven't done enough. But also I'll have some days where I don't recognise myself in the mirror, or I'll have periods where I don't recognise where I am. A more persistent thing with the lack of sense of self is the changes in lifestyle, or the change in look. The change of lifestyle has been more of an issue becoming an adult, because when you're a child you constantly change what you want to do in life. Sometimes you want to be an astronaut, or you want to own a restaurant or become a chef or whatever it is. And that's okay, because you have the imagination of a child and you're allowed to experience those feelings. But when you're an adult and you constantly think, I want to become a chef, or I want to do this degree, or I want to move to this place that I've got no connection to, and you suddenly keep switching your life without necessarily having a plan in the future, it's a lot more dangerous. It puts you in much more compromising positions, and that is something that now as a 25-year-old I'm struggling with a lot, because whilst I love a lot of things, I haven't set myself up for the future very well. So the last characteristic I'm going to be talking about is one that is the most dangerous for borderline personality disorder, and that is thoughts or ideation and harm. Personally, I have only really experienced suicidal ideation, so I've never actually planned or intended to end my life. But it's still, I'd say at least once weekly, often multiple times weekly, I'll experience very intrusive and negative thoughts with regards to just not wanting to exist anymore, or feeling like I'm a burden and feeling like people would be better off without me. And this has often become so overwhelming that it has led me to self-harm. I'm not going to discuss any further details about it. Again, if you want to know anything about it, speak to me personally. This is not something I want to be sharing fully online. But this is probably one of the worst aspects of BPD. It's one of the most dangerous, and it can be the scariest point. And this is the main feature that led me to get a diagnosis, because it was disrupting my life a lot. I'm going to wrap up this video at this point, because I don't want to keep rambling on, basically. I want to also just reach out to people that I haven't seen in a while, to my friends, and just say that I miss you, I think about you every day, and I hope that this video can help somebody, maybe, or it can provide some sort of an explanation for some behaviour that I've had in the past. But yeah, either way, leave me some feedback in the comments or send me a message. I'll leave my Instagram in the description below. That's probably the best place to contact me. Let me know if there are any other videos or anything else you want me to discuss. Leave a like or a dislike, whichever way you want, and thank you for watching.